All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies course, I have been going through a series and creating a series of video presentations based on the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. I'm in the JavaScript portion, and we're talking JavaScript objects. And as you can see, this lesson is on object basics. So, as mentioned here, we'll look at fundamental JavaScript object syntax and kind of ease into it by going over some of the stuff we've already dealt with in the course. Now, I'm not going to at all disagree with what they say in the text here. An object is a collection of related data and or functionality, which usually consists of several variables and functions. In here, they're known as properties and methods. Okay, that's totally true. But I do want to mention that in true object-oriented programming, you start by creating a class. And a class is a blueprint. And objects are instances of that blueprint in just the same way as if where we are in Rankin Technical College, Wentzville, if that big field that's across the street from the other building at Rankin, Wentzville, if a developer were to buy that building, and let's just say there's 100 acres out there, and they decided that they're going to put in about 60 homes, with streets and sewer and everything else. But what they have then is they come up with 4 house plans. And they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And they're going to do that basically 60 times. All right. Well, and again, that's totally fine. Each one of those blueprints would be an example of a house class. And each time they created an object based on that class, those would be the objects. All right. So the author says here, make a local copy of oojs.html. All right. Well, notice there's nothing in here as far as JavaScript goes. That's totally fine. So let's grab this. We'll go into here. All right. It says this example requires you to enter commands into your browser's JavaScript console. See this. For more information. Okay. So let's just take a quick look at what we've got here, period. Clean this up a little bit. All right, so right now there's just a little bit of HTML in here, and literally that's it. So this is called function start. Let's run it and just see what it looks like right now. Not much. Okay, now I've blown it up so it's real big so that you're able to read it, but that's totally fine. Okay. All right, so we've got that done. This contains very little, a script element for put some code into it. We'll use this as the basis for exploring the JavaScript object syntax. You should have your developer console open and be ready to type in some commands. Well, we can do that too. All right, so try entering the following command below the JavaScript code that's already in your file, then saving and refreshing. All right, not really doing very much. I'll put a semicolon on the end there. But if I save and I go back in here and refresh, it's not going to look any different. Nothing. Not at all. All right. Now open your browser's JavaScript console and enter person into it. Press enter and return, and we should get something like this. Well, let's see if that's the case. So we're here. Let's right mouse click. Not from there. From here. Let's right mouse click and choose inspect. Go into the console and type in person and hit enter. All right. And basically we see that it's an empty object. Congratulations, you just created your first object, but this is an empty object. There's much more we can do with it. So let's take a look quickly at what this is doing. This is a true object. So all the stuff that's here, we didn't have before. All right, I guess really up to here, we didn't have before. Now we're saying that this person object has a name, and it's Bob Smith. Notice we got brackets there because it's two different properties. Bob has got an age of 32. Bob has got a gender of male. Bob's interests are music and skiing. All right, this is a little bio on him, which is put in there as a method. This is another one that's put in there as a method. So let's put all this in here. We'll put it all right here, and we'll replace what's there with this. Clean it up a bit. All right. I'm going to really clean this up so you can read all of it. All right, that should be fine. All right, so let's save this. We have saved it. After saving and refreshing, try entering some of the following into the console. All right, well, hold on just a second and then we'll do that. Now, it still doesn't look any different. See that? But when we should be able to come in here now, put in like person.name. And you'll notice we're getting back in location 0 of the array Bob and location 1 Smith, and the length is 2. It's even telling us that it's an array. Let's make this a little bigger so that's easier to read as well. Here you go. So we can put in person.age. We get 32. Person.name. And if we change this to 0, notice we just get the Bob part. 1, of course, will give us Smith. All right. We can do the same thing with interests. And our interests 0 should be music and 1 should be skiing, right? So there's interests, that's 1, and interest 0. Now, the other thing that we can do in here, and this becomes very important. So we've done this one, this one, this one, and this one. We can call those methods. So we can do a person.bio and a person.greeting. So let's do both of those. And it says, Bob Smith is 32 years old. He likes music and skiing. Notice we get an undefined because there's no return statement in there. And we can do a person.greeting. Hit enter, and we get, hi, I'm Bob. All right, hopefully all of that made sense. So far, at least, a pretty doggone simple example. All right. So what's going on here? Well, an object is made up of multiple members, each of which has a name, such as name, age, etc., and a value. Bob Smith 32, for example. Each name value pair must be separated by a comma, and the name and value of each is separated by a semicolon. So it follows this kind of pattern. The value of an object member can be pretty much anything. So we've got strings in there for the name, first name and last name. We've got a number in there for the age. Both the name and the interests are put in there as arrays. We also have two functions, the greeting function and whatever the other one was, the bio function. So the first four items that are in there are referred to as the object's properties. Now, when you think about it, and there's the example they gave is just fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this. We could even go in and if we want to, we could add some of our own. So we've got here height, let's say 72. Weight, say 175 for pounds. And let's say eye color, blue. Hair color, brown. And now by putting all of that stuff in there from what else, the other stuff I've added here, now if I come back into here and I put in person dot, all right, dot, all right, well, I'm looking in there and I don't see the other stuff in there. So did I save? And it looks like I did. So let's go back and refresh. All right, uncaught blue is not defined. Oh, I know what the problem is. It's a string. They use single quotes, so I'll try to be consistent with what they've done. Brown, same thing. So let's go back again. I just saved it. So let's go back again and refresh. No errors. Now if I put in person dot height, notice 72. Person dot weight, 175. Person dot eye color, blue. Person dot hair color, brown. Okay? In addition to the stuff we had before, like person dot age, etc. All right. So the other two things that were in here, those being the bio and the greeting, those were methods. The thing that distinguishes a method from a variable here is methods have parentheses after them, and they may or may not have something that gets passed to them. And just putting out the value of a variable, there are no parentheses. All right. An object like this is referred to as an object literal. We've literally written out the object's contents. This is in contrast to objects that are instantiated or created from classes. That's what I mentioned to you before when I gave you the example of a blueprint for a house and the houses themselves. So we'll look at those in a bit. It is very common to create an object using an object literal when you want to transfer a series of structured related data items in some manner. Sending a single object is much more efficient than sending several objects individually. It's easier to work with than an array. I'm going to check my time, and I'm at 14 minutes, so let's stop it right here, and then we'll start it up again with dot notation in just a couple minutes.